How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Gianluca, aka Dr. Calcagno, and I'm a first-year family medicine resident working and studying here in Canada. One of my favorite medical influencers on any platform, at least for all of medical school and still to this day, is Dr. Glaucomflecken. And if you're in the medical field, you know who Dr. Glaucomflecken is. And if you're not in the medical field, you still probably know who Dr. Glaucomflecken is. And I think the reason why his skits are so well received, why they're so funny, is because he is very in tune with the stereotypes and the culture of medicine, and the characters he's created, especially for the different specialties, are very accurate to the general stereotypes that you hear about, especially going through medical school. And that's why today I want to talk a little bit more about his family medicine character. And as someone that just graduated medical school, now I am in my family medicine residency, I wanted to shed a little bit of light on the family medicine stereotype, because I think Dr. Glaucomflecken is 100% right. The character that he portrays is what family medicine is originally presented to you as. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't think that that is even close to what family medicine is. And surely if that was what family medicine was like, I probably wouldn't have chosen the specialty myself. So I talked about it here on the channel pretty recently. I took a look at the recent 2022 match data for Canada, and I think that the data speaks for itself. If you want to know why family medicine and why the Canadian healthcare system, and probably many healthcare systems around the world, are heading towards a crisis right now, it's because interest in family medicine is at an all-time low. We are at -5% overall interest in our students in even the last 10 years. So I wanted to get to the bottom of it. I think so many people have been asking the question of why people are choosing not to go into family medicine, and they just ask the question without even doing anything about it. So I did a poll, I got more than 1,000 people respond, and I took the top responses as to what people thought was the #1 reason why students were choosing not to get into family medicine. And we're gonna talk about that here today. But basically, I think it comes down to certain stereotypes that have been portrayed about family medicine for a very long time now. Now, in my survey, which was done on Instagram, I had the #1 reason people say why they don't think people are getting into family medicine is because of the pay. It was about 49% of people that told me that they thought that family medicine specialists did not make enough in that field. So I followed up on a few of them and I asked them, I said, how much do you think a family medicine doctor makes here in Ontario? And some of the numbers that I got, to be honest with you, were quite disturbing, I would say. People said anywhere between $60,000 and $100,000. Some people saying around $80,000, $85,000. And we need to set the record straight here. Guys, I am a first-year resident in my family medicine residency in Ontario, and my salary is $62,000. I do not know any family doctors, even if they're working part-time, that are making $60,000 a year. What you need to understand is that in medicine, there are two different ways to increase your income. The first is to work more hours, and the second is to get paid more money per hour. And that's a pretty basic concept to understand. It works that way for many other professions as well. Family medicine is no different. If you are going to be spending, for example, 40 to 50 hours a week in your clinic, and every patient you have, you average out, if you're in a full model, maybe we'll talk about this more in the future, the different types of models and how payment works. Every patient on average about $150 for the year. Your basic income at about a 2,000 patient roster is about $350,000. Then different family doctors will choose to work in nursing homes, they will deliver babies, they will work in the emergency rooms and different things that you could do to supplement your income further. It is not a stretch, and I personally have known family physicians that are doing 500 or more consistently every single year, working between 50 and 70 hours a week. And we have to define our terms. If that is still not enough money for you, you are looking to do $1 million, $2 million plus, then yes, family medicine is not the specialty for you. But in comparison to the $60,000 figure that I was getting in some cases, you see that there is quite a big difference. And surely at a gross income of about $500,000, that is something that I am comfortable with as a current family medicine resident. Now, the second reason why people told me that they thought students were not choosing to specialize in family medicine is because they thought that family doctors were overworked. And for the most part, that is a true statement. It is a lot to run a full-time family practice, or if you are going to be a hospitalist or work in the emerge. I think what we need to understand though is that medicine as a field is a busy specialty. Medical school is a busy time in your life. Residency, as I'm learning right now, is even busier. And when I look at some of my preceptors that are working full-time emerge, or that are working full-time family medicine clinics, or that are working full-time delivering babies, or doing a combination of all of these different things, these are all just numbers to say I'm working 50 to 70 hours a week, and people talk about, yeah, I work 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week, 100 hours a week. But you learn that outside of the numbers, when you actually get there, it is busy. The numbers do mean something. And even at a modest workload of, let's say, 50 to 60 hours a week compared to most other specialties, like 60 hours a week is what I would say a pretty decent workload, you're almost at 1.5 times the number of working hours of the general population. And yes, there is a lot to do in family medicine in terms of monotonous things at times. You're doing things like forms, you're doing things like basic conversations with your patients that you are going to do multiple times per day over and over again. And for some people, that might not have the same satisfaction as doing something like a surgical specialty where you're fixing things with your hands. But speak to some of the surgeons yourself. Go speak to some of the internists yourself. And I will probably go out on a limb and say that many specialists also feel like they are overworked in their specialty. One thing that is nice about family medicine, though, is that it is a flexible specialty. And if you do want to work part-time hours, that is something that you could do, especially in the beginning of your career, if you're interested in traveling or doing other things in the beginning. And I think that's really, really nice to be able to set your hours, especially in the beginning, but keeping in mind that yes, medicine is a busy specialty for many people. And if you're choosing to get into that specialty, I would say that you need to do so with the understanding that if you wanted to, you will get very, very busy at times. And then finally, reasons 3 and 4 as to why different people told me that they thought students were not choosing to get into family medicine, representing the last 21% and then 5% for a total of 26% of the overall survey. Reason number 3 was that they thought the specialty was boring. And then reason number 4 was that they thought there was no prestige associated with the specialty. And we will go ahead and tackle both of those things separately, starting off with the fact that certain people thought the specialty was boring. I've tried to touch on it a little bit throughout this video so far, but I think that family medicine, unlike any other specialty, offers so much room for flexibility. I do want to share one story that I heard yesterday, literally yesterday. If I'm making this video on Saturday, I was able to speak with a doctor yesterday. She was a relatively young physician who was only a few years into practice. And in her time since graduating medical school, this doctor was a superstar. They worked in an area where there was a high burden of care. They need to take care of a lot of patients themselves. And within only the first few years had built up a practice such that she was seeing patients in her office. She was doing Emerge twice a week. She was delivering babies, all of those things at the same time, while also trying her best to have a family and doing all of these other things as well. And that's incredible. That to be able to do all of those different things is, I would say, not sustainable for the majority of people. And certainly this individual too wanted to kind of step down and take a few things off of their plate afterwards. That's a decision that you get to make. But what other specialty allows you to deliver babies, see pregnant patients in clinic, go work in the Emerge if you want to do that in a rural area, for example, where they don't have the 5-year docs? And yes, there's all this room for nuance. But then you could get into sports medicine, you could do palliative medicine, you could do some psychiatry. There is a reason why family medicine doctors are regarded as the generalists. But if there is an area that you want to take a little bit of specialty into, do a little bit more training, there are definitely those possibilities if you are going to be working somewhere that is not a major city center. Because yes, it's true. If you are going to work in downtown Toronto, for example, and you are committed to working in downtown Toronto, then from what I hear anyway, because I myself don't work in downtown Toronto, it is much harder to work in the Emerge in some of those areas. You do have a lot of the 5-year doctors, the emergency physician specialists that are occupying those positions instead of the family doctors. But I guess what I'm trying to say in this roundabout, convoluted way is that family medicine becomes a specialty depending on what you make of it. And you get to define what boring is and isn't. And if you want it to be not boring, you will find a way to make it not boring. If you want to do YouTube videos, for example, and that's your definition of not boring, then here we are, and I'm not bored doing this today. And reason 4, finally, and the last thing that I want to touch on was this issue of prestige. To those of you that have followed the channel for a while now, you know that when I first chose to get into family medicine as my specialty, I had decided that was the only residency program that I was going to be applying for. I did so with the thought that I didn't really care about this so-called prestige, right? And I will say that the truth here is that yes, when you are going through medical school, there is this external pressure that's applied to you, especially when, it comes time to start matching and start getting your applications ready for matching. And everyone's talking about these super hyper competitive programs that they're going to get into where there's only one spot and you can only work in these few locations in the country. And, it's a 9-year residency program, 7-year residency program, or whatever. My personal thought going into that is, who am I trying to impress, right? Like that's what I got down to, and trying to understand that. Am I trying to impress other doctors? And is the way to impress those other doctors to be more hyper specialized? Or is it to be the best doctor that you can and could provide the best care for your patients that you can and have a practice of people that come to you whenever they're sick? I think that, to me, anyways, personally, is probably the best way to impress myself and to become the doctor that I wanted to be. And I don't know, when I look at other doctors, which other doctors am I more impressed by? Is it a specialist, hypothetically, that is super, super qualified, but has multiple people that come after and tell me that they did a bad job with whatever procedure that they did, or that they didn't order the proper tests, or that they weren't very compassionate? Or is it the family doctor that has been in a community for 40 years and has built such amazing relationships with their patients and helped them out throughout their entire life? It's that one. That's the one that I look up to more, and that is the prestige for me. Now, you could say, yes, there are patients, for example, that maybe sometimes they don't provide their family doctor with the most amount of respect. I've definitely heard that word thrown around a little bit. And that's going to be a matter of personal preference. But one thing that I will say, and maybe to combat that, is that me, myself, only having been a resident for a few weeks now, a few months, is that very recently I was in clinic and I saw one of my patients, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but I'm not even out of residency yet. And after our conversation, what I was able to do and help them and hear their concerns and come up with our plan, they were very appreciative of that. And it was really my first time in having this patient afterwards be like, thank you so much, doctor. I really appreciate everything that you're doing. And that was such an amazing feeling. And yes, there are people that aren't going to respect you in any job, but they don't owe you that. No one owes you respect. You earn the respect. And at least that's the way that I kind of look at it myself. Personal opinions, yes, will differ. You might think otherwise, but that's at least how I like to phrase it for myself. That's the end of the video. I don't know. Was this a spicy video? You guys let me know in the comment section below. I don't know if it's going to be controversial to say. I want to make it clear that, yeah, I'm a family medicine fanboy. I applied to family medicine. I've been liking my residency so far. The preceptors I've worked with, many of them like their jobs and the things that they do. I don't want to make this video seem like I'm discouraging people from getting into other specialties. That's not it at all. We need people to go into neurosurgery. We need people to go into ophthalmology, internal medicine, cardiology. And if that is your path, go and do that and go and be the best specialist that you can. But if you are interested in family medicine, do a little bit more research than just the basic stereotypes at the top of the specialty, and see whether or not it is a specialty for you. Talk to some people. There are hard parts associated with the specialty. Yes, in many instances, family medicine is considered the backbone of the medical system. Yes, you could feel overworked at times. Yes, there are certain people that are in positions working as family doctors where they're not making the most amount of money, but that is not the entire story, and you could figure out ways around it. And I would love if we could shift this narrative moving forward such that maybe a future Dr. Glaucomflecken character could be the next gen family doctor, this new generation of family doctors, shameless plug by the way, they come out and we see, these family doctors that are doing all this cool stuff and they're still super personable and they're riding motorcycles, they got a leather jacket on, and they're running a full-time practice, they're delivering babies on the side. The true proud generalist. Show some pride, family doctors. That's what we're talking about right now. And you guys let me know in the comment section. We'll keep the conversation going down there. I will attach a few more things, cliff notes basically on top of the video, because there is always that room for nuance. But you guys go be the best doctors you can, and you're gonna make it work for yourself. So we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for stopping by today, and everyone take care.